How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast. Feels good to be back. I'm here with the greatest co-host on planet Earth, Isaiah Gessner.
Thank you, brother. Feel the same about you. What's
Of
up, everybody?
Of course. We're back today. You can see the gear. You can see the screen. NFL season is upon us. At the time of this recording, the Hall of Fame game is happening in a few hours, which is unbelievable. But that means preseason, regular season, right around the corner. So we had to get a video out for y'all, get y'all ready for the season because we're hyped. We know it's one of the most popular sports in the world. So gotta get it going.
Can't wait, dude. I am seriously I don't think I've ever been more excited. I feel like I say this every year, but the build up to a football season, dude, I can't wait to see how this pans out. So many moves from not just my team, but around the NFL. And I can't wait to get into this, see who you've got at your spots. You get to see who I've got at my spots. It's going to be a banger.
Yeah, I'm excited. But today we are going to break down the NFC. Going to give you 1 through 4 in each division, starting at 4. So we can heat it up as the video goes on. But just give you all a little breakdown, what we think. At first, we were going to do records, but Zay and I both realized that it's a little bit harder than it looks to just pick a record based off of the schedule because the NFL season is extremely unpredictable, as you know. There are going to be upsets. It's kind of hard to predict those, but we may shout out a couple records here and there, but this is just a division ranking video of the NFC.
Yeah, can't wait. Before we kick it off, Mo does not know my list. I do not know his. So we'll be finding out our picks for all of these divisions as the video unfolds with you guys. With that being said, we'll kick it off with my team, the Green Bay Packers, the NFC North. Moses, who have you got finishing 4th in the NFC North?
So a year ago, this was a very obvious answer for most people. But there's been a lot of off-season movement in this division. Started off, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I'm just very concerned with quarterback play and transitioning offense. I'm unfortunately throwing the Minnesota Vikings at the 4 spot in the NFC North for me. Do you agree?
I agree. The quarterback thing is concerning. I understand, and we don't know at the moment what they're going to do. They haven't named a starter. We don't know if it's going to be Darnold, if it's going to be, their first round pick, JJ McCarthy. We don't know at the moment.
Yeah.
I assume Darnold will start the season. That doesn't mean
I would
McCarthy
agree.
won't play this year. I think he probably will. I would bet on him playing.
Yep.
And I get a lot of Vikings fans have been using our good friend Geno Smith with the Seattle Seahawks as, hey, Darnold's going to have a resurgence. It's going to be like that. We're going to be okay. We're going to surprise some people. And listen, that could be true. But not everyone gets as lucky as Geno Smith. Not everyone has that resurgence in their career. That's what makes Geno so unique as a quarterback and as an athlete. I'm worried about quarterback play. I have to shout out my guy, Aaron Jones, top 5 Packer all time to me. I'm rooting for him. You got Jay Jettas. You've got, to me, the best receiver in football
100%.
on that team. I don't think this team will be awful.
I agree. I feel like this is a division that is going to be very competitive.
Yes.
I feel like all 4 of these teams are in the right. I mean, the NFC, I would say, is a little bit more wide open than the AFC, spoiler. But Yeah, all four of these teams are really solid teams. Obviously,
Mhm.
there's definitely a tier in it, but
Yeah.
all four of these teams are pretty solid. I would agree.
Yeah, I don't, this team has some solid pieces. I love their draft pick and Danielle Hunter this
Yeah,
year, having him
yeah,
as just a windy athletic linebacker. Like I like what this some of the pieces this Vikings team has, but I feel like I could do that with every team if I really wanted to, where I could
for
say, hey,
sure.
they have pieces. I think the NFC North will be competitive, but I see them being on the lower end of that NFC North competition.
100%. Running back to your Geno
Mhm.
comparison, I would say the Seahawks also have, I wouldn't say considerably, but a pretty much more
Yeah.
solidified defense than
Yeah.
the Vikings have.
It
And they
it
lost a
was
couple of their uh, stone core
Mhm.
guys,
Mhm.
moving on to different teams. So it's just kind of a new look Viking squad all around outside of Justin, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, because it's my division, I've got some things that I won't have to say about other teams. When the Packers made Jordan Love the highest paid player in football, a lot of Vikings fans were laughing. They were making jokes about, oh my goodness, the Packers overpaid a quarterback. Look at these idiots. Look at da 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 da. Look who you're starting. And then get back to me. Let's talk about the third team though. I just had to get that
I
off
love it.
because it
Why
was
not?
crazy. Like we're talking crazy. Um
Not
the
in a
third
position
team,
to talk. Yeah.
no, not yet.
Yeah.
Man, like not yet. Maybe next year, who knows? But
Hmm.
not this year. So
For sure. For sure.
unless Aaron Jones runs for 300 yards against us and gets it back in blood.
Yeah.
Um, third in the NFC North, I've got a feeling we're gonna have the same team.
Yeah.
I've got the Chicago Bears at 3 in the NFC
Agreed.
North.
Agreed.
Why do you have them at 3?
You know, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze might be one of the best rookie wide receiver quarterback tandems we've ever seen. They have the potential to do that. The Bears upgraded all around in all aspects of their team this offseason, with DeAndre Swift coming in as well as a running back
Mm-hmm.
and getting another threat and older, but still one of the best route runners in Keenan Allen. I really, really like the Bears offseason.
Yeah.
And I was debating putting them at 4, but I feel this resurgence coming out of
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, them kind of being down for the last few years. I think it's a new energy. And I think they're ready to obviously not. I don't know if they're gonna. I wouldn't have them in the playoffs personally,
Not
but
yet. Not for
um,
me. Not yet.
yeah, but they have taken a lot of right steps in the right direction.
Yes.
So
Yeah. This is. Listen, man. As you can tell, I'm a Packers fan. Aaron Rodgers said it best and continues to say it best that we own this franchise. This is one of the first times in my fandom of being a Packer where I can say, okay, those those guys are going to be a problem.
yeah,
They're going to be a threat. And the reason I don't, I think it's possible they make the wild card. I don't think that's out of the range of outcomes.
that'd
They're a
be an
team.
overachieve, I'd say. Yeah,
Yes, it would be, and that isn't a bad thing. Like to say, hey, you're not going to make the playoffs, but the reason I have some faith is you draft Caleb Williams, who I'm very high on, and who I think has the upside to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL down
yep,
the road in a
yep,
couple years. I think we could, when we're still doing this podcast, could be having that discussion
for
about
sure.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
And he's stepping into a position where they provided him with the weapons to be amazing. This isn't a Justin Herbert with the Chargers where
about
it's
to
like,
say
who,
normally doesn't
yeah,
happen that way.
no, it's not. Hey, so our defense is ass. We don't have a receiving core. Run game is pretty choppy, and you're going to be under pressure all game. Could you get us to the playoffs?
Yeah,
that is
man.
not the spot.
Have a fun rookie year.
Yeah, have fun. You're probably gonna go out hurt too.
Yeah.
By the way, like I was rewatching some Bryce Young tape from last year. The fact that he didn't sustain a massive injury is the biggest success of the Panthers season because he was getting destroyed. It was like Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck level of just destroyed, dismantled on that field.
Yeah.
And he was okay.
Yeah.
But you've got Caleb drafted to this team. You add DeAndre Swift. I like Khalil Herbert. I still believe in Roshan Johnson as well in that run game to kind of surprise some people. And then your big three, really big four receiving core. You got Cole Kmet at tight end. Then you have Roma Dunze, who you pointed out. Keenan Allen, who they make a trade for. And DJ Moore, who they traded for last year and just gave a really nice payday.
Yeah.
That is an offense, weapon-wise, that you can stack up with the best in the league.
It is really a solid offensive attack. If Caleb can come in and show those flashes like he did at USC, they can be a top 10 offense in the league.
Agreed.
I believe that. Yeah.
Agreed. They have that upside, and their defense isn't something to just scoff at either. Yeah. I was a little iffy on the Montez Sweat deal, but after seeing, the rest of their offseason, how the draft panned out, I love the addition, getting to have him to hopefully get some sacks, put some pressure on some opposing quarterbacks. You have Jalen Johnson, you could argue is the best cornerback in all of football there in that secondary. You add TJ Edwards from Buffalo. I really like this Bears team. And again, I'm cool with not having them in the wild card just yet. But I think just because we got them at third, I think they're closer to the top two teams in the North than to the Vikings at the bottom of the basement.
I would 100% agree with that.
So listen, Bears fans, I gave y'all a lot of love here. So, there we go. We can
be peaceful.
We can move forward. We can share my Packers a little bit of respect around here too. I understand Packers fans can be annoying, as all fan bases. I'm giving you all your praise. You deserve it. I think it's going to be a bright future in Chicago. So, and Caleb will probably go down as the greatest Bears quarterback of all time because the bar is pretty damn low.
Is it Jay right now?
Dude, I mean,
the older.
Yeah,
I don't even know they're older guys, but
dude, you seriously could probably make a case for Jay Cutler, and that's
no disrespect, but
no disrespect, but I think Caleb steps in feeling pretty good that I'll go down as the greatest Bears quarterback of all time. But now at number 2, is where it gets real interesting. I went back and forth with these teams.
Yeah.
I'll let the unbiased person on the podcast go ahead and say who they got it to.
I agree. Even though I am unbiased, I went back and forth with these top 2 teams, but I settled on the Green Bay Packers at the 2 spot. In my record picker thing that I went through, they have the same record, but the the Lions ended up winning more games in the division is how it worked out. So I think that you guys are neck and neck. Great offseason as well for the Packers, bringing in Josh Jacobs to replace Aaron Jones, which I really like. I know it hurts as a Packers fan to lose a guy who you've grown up watching and knowing, but Josh Jacobs is a pretty damn good running back. Also some big signings on the defensive end as well. The big one, Xavier McKinney, coming over from the Giants, leading that secondary. It's going to be really fun to see him out there with Jair and all those boys. So really great offseason. Obviously, I think the Packers are one of the contending teams in the NFC. Jordan Love, after the huge contract extension, I believe the biggest in NFL history, is due for another jump And I think it's gonna happen. So I think it's gonna be a good year for the cheeseheads, you boys. So what do you got, man?
I agree with everything you said. This is a situation. I agree. I've got the Packers at 2 as well. And I also had them having the same amount of wins as the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And the Lions squeaking out on top. And I think it's more of me respecting Detroit, respecting the team that they've built, what Dan Campbell has built, how Jared Goff has performed. I just love so much about Detroit. However, I think it's going to be a both. I would not be surprised if the Packers came out on top of the NFC North
for sure
this season as well. As you said, the second half of last year for Jordan Love was incredible. One of those games being Thanksgiving at Detroit. You saw everything that could have gone right with the Packers in one cohesive game. It was amazing quarterback play. He's making throws off his back foot. They're beautiful tight spirals into the end zone. The run game was active. You got a multitude of receivers, and they're running that back this year where it's like, hey, we don't have that alpha number one, but we've got 6, 7 guys who we really believe in and who can all catch you the ball every week. The defense, our safety group was terrible. It was awful.
Yeah.
And adding Xavier McKinney gives that secondary so much more juice. He is a solid ball hawk, is great at tracking the ball down. Jair Alexander, while not being in the talks for best corner necessarily anymore, is still a very solid number one. I'm hoping Lucas Van Ness can take a step forward. That was a guy who a lot of people said we reached on last year in the draft. It's time to prove, hey, you're wrong. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna produce. Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Quay Walker, like the defense is solid. You're running it back. I think your argument for having the Packers at 1 is that everything that they did well last year, they're going to replicate, and some. I don't think that's crazy to think, but me personally, agreeing with you, I've got the Detroit Lions finishing atop the NFC North. It's a great team.
Yeah.
Great team, man.
Only getting better, too.
Only getting better. It's just hard not to root for them as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some weird narratives. I remember us filming this video back last year, and I said it about the Bills, where it felt like people were picking the Bills to, like, trail off last year just because they don't have a Super Bowl, or just because, like, oh, well, they haven't beaten Mahomes, they haven't whatever. I feel like for some reason the Lions had a great year, and it was immediately, oh, well, they can't do it next year. Why not?
Why? Yeah, literally, why not?
Why not? Like, this is a great team running back a lot of those pieces. Another year of experience for Campbell. And they've taken the lid off. Like, hey, we've made the playoffs. We were this close to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the Lions, there's no reason you should not feel very confident heading into this upcoming year.
100% re-signed all their key pieces. Goff, Amon-Ra, Penei Sewell, all getting fat earned deals that'll lock them down, keep them hopefully in Detroit for the next few years. And I also think Terry and Arnold out of Alabama might win the Rookie of the Year. We have another video coming on that, so we'll see who our official picks are. But any Alabama corner, thankfully, getting coached by the greatest college coach to ever grace the game, and Nick Saban, they're normally coming out ready to make an impact at the NFL level. So,
I mean, all you have to do is look up the Lions defense and then look up good old Brian Branch and see how great of a rookie season he had last year as a safety and go, yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good that this guy will also be able to come over to Detroit and contribute. So
for sure.
I agree. And not much else I can say about the Lions. For the most part, they're running it back with a lot of their pieces. It's why I've still got them at 1. I'm very excited to see the Packers and Lions face off, though. Those are going to be 2 amazing matchups this season. So
100%
ready. And the Bears are looking at both those teams too, saying, hey, we're going to be in that mix too. So I'm excited to see how it pans out.
Nipping at the heels for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a fun division.
Speaking of fun divisions, maybe these. I need to, dude. Why is it that anytime we talk about the Commanders, it's like
we don't hate them, bro?
No,
we don't.
Like, but this isn't gonna help. I may as well rip the Band-Aid off. I've got him at 4. I just don't, dude. This defense is really bad, and I am so concerned about it. And it's so funny because if you go a couple years back and you look at some of the names on this team, you look at Bobby Wagner or Austin Eckler, you're like, oh my God, holy crap, this team is going to be amazing. It's the big 2024, man. And with all due respect to this team, listen, I don't think you're guaranteed to get last. I think there's another team who we'll talk about next who is very close to you guys as well, in my opinion.
For sure.
I have so little faith in this Commanders team being a threat to anyone.
So yeah. I was shocked because I was looking at the wrong division and I didn't see them at the bottom, but I agree. The Commanders are my 4th team, and dude, this division is just, it's top heavy. So obviously we know who's at 1 and 2, what spots they're in, TBD. But I agree with everything you said, man. Like, I guess, Jaden Daniels can come out and have a offensive rookie of the year type season with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin.
Curtis is in Buffalo, so that
he's gone.
Yeah,
but they're cooked. They're cooked. Sorry, I was thinking of Terry McLaurin. I don't know.
They got Dotson. They got John Dotson though.
So they got hopefully their quarterback of the future, but it's a scenario where they didn't put really anything around him. So,
and I think the bigger thing too, if you are a Commanders fan, it's more important that you see Jaden Daniels has the tools than it is to necessarily win 8, 9, 10 games.
For sure. This is a developmental year. Yeah.
And going back to glazing my Packers, we had this talk a couple days ago, but it was, hey man, the reason, yes, the Packers are lining up to have potentially 40 years of elite quarterback play from the Favre, Rodgers, Love era. If Love continues, which after giving him all that money, all I can do is pray. But if you were other management, how do you not see the success the Packers have and go, let's replicate some of that with, hey, let's not throw Jaden Daniels to the fire. Like, it's no knock on him. This is any quarterback. This is Bryce Young. This is whoever you want to say. Let's not do that. We'll start Marcus Mariota. We're not going to be good anyways. We'll start Mariota. We'll give Daniels a couple weeks to get in the system, figure out what it's like to be a pro, figure out what it's like to, travel, to have the stadiums this loud. And he knows that. He played at LSU, was a Heisman, but it's different, obviously, at this level.
Yeah.
And then throw him out when he gets a little more confident. I think you're doing your quarterbacks a disservice by throwing them to the fire. But we'll see. Hopefully he proves me wrong.
I mean, the jersey I'm wearing right now is a guy who is another case in point of being thrown into the fire.
And Listen, again, I could be wrong. I had Drake May as my second best quarterback in this class, so I was a little critical of the Commanders for taking Daniels as
Yeah,
well. This
for
is a
sure.
dude who gets hit a lot, and I respect the hell out of him fighting for every single yard, especially as a quarterback. But that's scary because these dudes
I
on
was about to say,
defense are grown ass men.
it's a level change unlike any other sport jumping from
Yes.
college to the NFL. They're just built unbelievably different, and you
Yes.
can't really get away with taking shots like that all the time. So
No. And
yeah,
again, I respect him for it,
yeah,
but
might need to make a
but
business decision.
for your sake, I hope you go, hey man,
Yeah.
I want to play a long time. We're not going to be great this year anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Let me preserve my career. So when hopefully in a couple years from now we are great, I'm healthy, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But lining up with this third team, Mo, what do you got? Are we going to disagree here? I'd be surprised.
We should both have the New York Football
Okay.
Giants
Yeah.
at the 3 spot. And you know, it's the world is their oyster. Daniel Jones coming back from a brutal ACL injury. They added Brian Burns, who's one of the best edge rushers in the game. Couple receivers in Isaiah McKinney and Allen Robinson. Devin Singletary replacing Saquon Barkley, who departed for a team that we will talk about here in a bit, is their big loss. So it is going to be a very interesting season for the Giants. They got Drew Lock as a backup if Daniel either can't get it done or happens to get hurt again. Knock on wood. Never want to wish that on anyone. But Malik Neighbors in the draft, gonna
Dog.
be a stud. Gonna
Dog.
be one of their best receivers, if not their best receiver. But yeah, I just think these two teams ahead of them are leaps and bounds ahead of them, and
Yeah.
it might be a tough year for the Giants.
I don't know if you've been tuning into their Hard Knocks. Their
A little bit.
Now I will say maybe my favorite Hard Knocks ever, not because it's the Giants, but just I love the management side of sports in
Yeah,
general. It's so cool to see GMs make trades, to see how they sign free agents, and to see like how human a lot of those interactions are. And with all due respect, I don't think the Giants know what they're doing. And I will give them their path to where they could be good. It's three players. It's Dexter Lawrence, it's Kayvon Thibodeau, and it's newly added Brian Burns.
that is a nasty
That is
front. Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
My problem, and they even say it in the Hard Knocks thing. Who is going to be in our secondary?
Yeah.
Because you lose Xavier McKinney on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose Saquon. We don't know what. Also, the way they talk about Daniel Jones is as if his leash is this. Like
Crazy.
they are looking for an out with him. And I think he has to play exceptional in order for him to be a Giant starting
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they have a very low ceiling too. It's similar to the Commanders. Like, can this team really win 9 or 10 games? No. I'm gonna doubt it.
Yeah, it's gonna be extremely tough to reach that milestone for sure. That mark, I should say. But
I love Malik. I think he
yeah.
is going to be a stud. I think they absolutely hit with that draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Brian Burns deal is listen, if you're just adding raw Pro Bowl talent, he fits.
Yeah. But normally, a team who might be in contention would but like I'm not mad at the move. Like,
no, and they
if
got
you
him
can
at
get
a
a
deal.
great player, if you can get a great player on a deal, why wouldn't you take it? But
you'd be stupid not to, even because in their eyes they're going to be decent, and maybe they
of
are.
course, every team thinks, every team is going into the season thinking, this can be our year. We got the pieces, we got the guys, and that's how it should be. Like, but you gotta look in the mirror sometimes, and the secondary it's going to be a big question mark. So we'll see.
I literally, for my notes on them, I wrote down Dexter, Kayvon, Burns, and then said ... But what else?
Yeah,
because you have that, and I'll even throw Malik in. Yes, he's a rookie, but I think he's going to be exceptional. But
it's not like LSU
that,
produces good receivers or anything.
They've got a pretty good track record, I would say. It's been all right. But I've got the Giants at 3. Now, this is where it's really tough.
Yeah.
For me, I went back and forth on these two. I have the Philadelphia Eagles at 2.
Our first difference is here.
And this is one I can't really argue. Like, I don't feel very confident in the Cowboys. This is more, I know what they do in the regular season, and I trust it.
For sure. That's respectable.
So I guess we can talk about both these teams at the same time.
Yeah,
because
let's do it.
They're kind of bunched up. The reason I could see the Cowboys being here instead of 1, they have probably the worst run game in football. It is Ezekiel Elliott's corpse running around on that field. That is so unserious. You have an MVP candidate in Dak Prescott. You have CeeDee Lamb, Offensive Player of the Year candidate, and Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But washed up Jerry Jones hasn't signed a single one of them to a deal. What is he cooking?
I'm looking at their offseason transactions, and it is, I think, the shortest I've seen out of any team.
Bro, he was asleep at the wheel, and I'm not even meaning that in a joking way. I seriously think he was napping. Because what is this, man? This is so unserious. And
even I'm looking at their draft, like,
it's not good. It's
nothing special. Obviously, you never know what happens down the line, but just from what I see and what I've seen, it's tough, man. That's gonna be tough. Yeah,
it's tough. That run game is seriously disgusting in the worst way possible. That is the most unserious lineup I've ever seen. However, the reason after, even with all of that, I still have them at 1, which is crazy. Strictly because they lost the sauce that second half of the season for Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni, who is supposed to be the vibes guy, the vibes were god awful.
Yeah.
Like some of the worst vibes I've ever seen. And they did add some new coordinators, which is great because if you're not going to replace Sirianni, which still blows my mind, you at least have got to fix the skeleton around him. And they did. I still think the Eagles are a playoff team. I will 100%. Say that. As are the Cowboys, obviously. So I could see them having the same record, similar to the Packers and Lions, but one team edges out the other. Ultimately, I have the Cowboys at 1, but it's close. I trust the Cowboys defense more in the regular season.
That's fair.
In the regular season for all of this. I trust Dak Prescott.
Underlined exclamation point.
Yes. Yeah. I trust all those guys. I trust that Dak Prescott will throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb in the regular season. In the playoffs, I guess that doesn't happen. But that's why I've got the Cowboys at 1. Mo, let me know
That's fair.
why
That's fair.
why you've got Philly.
The Eagles, man, Kenny Pickett. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yo, that is sick.
Saquon Barkley coming over from the Giants, absolutely bolstering their already really solid run game. You get one of the best running backs in the league. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Re-signing their 2 key wide receivers in AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I feel like they're going to be motivated to get it going and bounce back after the collapse of last year. Overall, just scrolling through, made a lot more moves than the Cowboys did, brought in a lot of new guys, especially on the defensive end. Devin White, one of the big ones coming in, which is exciting. CJ Gardner-Johnson coming over as well. I think this team upgraded needingly so. And the Cowboy, I just don't think the Cowboys did enough. I really like their team, and I agree with the regular season stuff and the 3 key guys that they got that could all win key awards at the end of the season. But I just think the Eagles improved slightly more, and but I'm not mad with you throwing them at 1. It's
one where like I will not argue with someone. If you say Eagles at 1, I'd say yeah, 100% I could see it. We both had them winning the Super Bowl last year. So, yeah, I am a firm believer in Philly. And listen, I saw what my Packers did to the Cowboys. We trampled them. So, but again, it's right there. I think it's marginal. And if you say Saquon is the difference maker, how could I argue that? It's a pretty good one.
Also, I believe the defense Cowboys is better. The Eagles defense last year was at the beginning of the season before it was all started was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league, especially after the draft they had, getting all those Georgia studs. And they were god awful. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see, man.
We'll see. It'll be close. I think the Giants and Commanders will be having a mid-off, and the Eagles and Cowboys will be trying their darndest to try and win the division.
For sure.
But now we go to the South.
Yeah.
Number 4. Is it going to be the same one from last year?
I think we have to get it out of the way, unfortunately. Just not a whole lot going on for Panthers. They made moves. They added people. They added guys on both ends of the ball, which was needed. Sorry, I'm looking at their draft right now as well. Xavier Legette, I really like. I think he's going to be a solid wideout out of South Carolina. But I don't think it was enough. And it's probably going to be another rough season in Carolina, if I had to guess.
I think similarly to kind of what I said about the Bears, this is, and again, because of the spot he was thrown into, one of those make or break years for Bryce Young. And listen, I don't think that's fair, but it's the reality of the sport. I think it's a big one. Do I think the Panthers will be better this year? Yes. I think there's still a world where they win a couple more games and they still don't make the playoffs, or they're still last, or maybe they're third in the NFC South. But to say that I expect them to win it feels unrealistic. I love the Deontay Johnson pickup. You need some more explosion. That wide receiver core was terrible. I love Adam Thielen, an OG in the league, but him being your number 1 wideout is so unserious. So I'm glad they addressed that. Xavier Legette, as you said earlier, Miles Sanders, that pickup last year was a disaster class. So we'll see. Hopefully Jonathan Brooks comes in and adds some explosion to that run game. It gives Bryce Young a little bit of help. So he doesn't have to do it all himself. It's just tough. And then obviously you trade away Brian Burns. So you lose your best defensive asset on top of it.
Maybe your best player in general.
I would say he was. So I would agree with you there. We'll see. I'm a JC Horn truther still. I know after that rookie year, it wasn't as elite as that next step as we maybe hoped for, but that doesn't mean he's not a very good member of that secondary. So we'll see. I think Derek Brown will probably be a Pro Bowler on that D line, and that's your hope. But the big one, hopefully we see Bryce Young take that step, solidify himself as the Panthers' cornerstone QB.
That should be the goal for the season, I believe.
Yes. But at 3, did you have first? Who did you have at 3?
At 3, I have the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, me too.
It was pretty pedestrian offseason, I would say, for them.
Yeah.
Added Chase Young, which I forgot about until just now. But the defense should be solid. But draft was kind of meh. I mean, I guess you got Spencer Rattler if Derek ends up going down, but you also signed Kellen Mond, so he probably won't even touch and Nathan Peterman probably won't even touch
that
the
quarterback
field.
Room is hilarious, and Jake Hayner's there too, just to add another.
But Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama should be solid for them. And I don't really have too much on the Saints, man.
For me, it's pretty simple. This is a team that for years restructured. They kicked the money down the road. Kicked the hey, I'll pay you back in a little bit. I'll pay you back in a little bit. I got you, but just give me a little more time and then I'll pay you. And that time is here now where it's like it's time to collect.
Yeah.
You kicked Michael Thomas's money, kicked Cam Jordan's, DeMario Davis, Drew Brees, all those guys, Jimmy Graham, all of those kinds of players, the Honey Badger. And now it's time to pay up. It's time to collect. And they can't do anything. And it is what it is. They're a mid-team. Could they finish first in the South? Maybe. I don't think so. But yeah, that's it. My assessment of the Saints is pretty simple. It's time to collect. Your team is old. There's not any wiggle room to make any big splashes. So here we are.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yep.
But now I think is the fun part.
Yeah.
You got the Bucks who made the I gotta eat my crow, man. I've been waiting for a time to eat crow on my Baker Mayfield take. We did our quarterback video last year, and looking back at it, don't watch it. At least unless you want to see a disaster class from Isaiah. I'll take full ownership because I was eating. I was terrible, man. I called Baker Mayfield the worst quarterback in football, and then essentially coerced Mo into agreeing. Probably against what he would have agreed with, but I was just like, dude, Mo, come on. Thankful, and I love Baker, so this sucks even more to have that take on my resume. Baker, very proud of you. I apologize again. Can't be more happy that you not only did well, you made the playoffs, you won a game, and you got a bag. Very happy. But yeah, I was wrong on that, so I'll eat crow for that. And I have got his Buccaneers at 2 in the NFC South.
I do as well.
A lot of the same formula, a lot of the same pieces as a team that won the division last year. This was a real close one as well. It feels like that top 2 in a lot of these divisions is very tight, and this was another one with the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I totally could see the Bucks returning, but I gave the brief tight edge out to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
Ultimately.
I agree with that. Like you said, Bucks kind of running it back with the same squad, just another year older.
Yeah.
Not upset with it because it worked last year, but last year was pretty unforeseen to most fans unless you were a Bucks truther.
Yeah.
And I personally I think the Falcons have the best quarterback in this division, and that's pretty important piece to have if you want to have success. So
yeah,
that's why I got the Bucks at 2.
And I would say again, Kirk is coming off of a pretty significant injury, so we'll have to see. But at the moment, I'd say they have the best quarterback by a pretty decent gap at this point.
And some pretty dang good weapons that especially one that's he's kind of, positioned next to the O lineman and he runs routes sometimes. He might block. His name's Kyle Pitts, so he's pretty good, but maybe if he could wake up new coaching in Atlanta.
That is the biggest one.
Yep, new coaching in Atlanta, so maybe they can get that guy you spent a first-round draft pick on last year, running back Bijan Robinson, more involved. That would be.
Why would he do that? They had Jonnu Smith taking snaps a yard out at running back last year, and the Falcons want to think we forgot about that. I did not. I will never forget watching that. So you have that. And then you also have another first round pick, a top 10 pick. His name is Drake London. He could also get the football too. So Raheem Morris, please, man. I know Arthur Smith was allergic to giving his weapons the ball.
Yeah.
Please, man. Let them just get the ball in their hands. Run
all
little
you need
bubble
to do,
screens.
honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, Kyle Pitts, 1-on-1, deep. I'm just going to lob this up, man. You're a freak of nature. You're a unicorn in the sport.
Yeah.
Go get the football.
Yep.
Like, it's that simple. Hey, Drake London, boom, screen. We're just get the ball in your hand, cook. Bijan, here's a halfback screen. We're gonna let our offensive line block for it. But and a better quarterback is at the helm as well. So
yeah.
I trust Atlanta.
We didn't even sorry.
No, go ahead.
If let's say Kirk isn't right and things go wrong,
Tampa wins.
They did. Tampa's probably going to win, but they also did take pretty good college guy who it shocked the world that they took him, but maybe they know something we don't and it'll pay off.
Can you imagine if they would have used their first round pick to draft a position of need, like maybe edge?
Someone on defense.
Latu on this defense would have been a match made in heaven.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a bit because we have the same take. We have the same take, I'm assuming. So
yeah,
I just it's honestly impressive that you had that arguably the worst pick I've seen in my life. No hate on Penix.
No, seriously, because it's not the player.
It's not him.
The spot. It's what the frick are you doing?
Yeah.
You just paid a quarterback 180 million.
It's unserious.
Yeah.
So unserious. But hopefully the production is there. But yeah, I mean, the thing with the Falcons is if you struggle this year, that's fine. The Bucks got it. So that's the outcome there. But we'll wrap this up with the NFC South. And I will be totally honest. This
West.
was. Oh, thank you. The NFC West.
No worries.
I'll be honest. This one is very, very difficult.
This was the hardest one for me.
For the NFC, this was because even 4 was difficult.
Yeah, can you start? Because I don't feel comfortable saying.
Let me rip the Band-Aid off because it's going to be bad. I've got the Seattle Seahawks at 4.
I do too.
Seahawks.
I do too, man.
Dude, it has to hit a point, right? It has to hit a point where the Geno Smith beautiful, incredible comeback is in year 3. And it wasn't great last year.
Yep.
It wasn't. He wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the same. Because now defenses know, oh, Geno is competent. He is he's a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
And a little tidbit, they are going to travel the most out of every team in the entire NFC this season.
Wow.
I was going deep in my bag looking for differentiators. Yeah. I have the Seahawks at last. That doesn't mean I think honestly this could be kind of like the AFC North last year, where the Seahawks are last, but they still win 7 games. They still win 8 games. I just still think they're last.
I 100% agree, and thank you for making me not be alone on this, because I would have looked like the biggest hater in the world. But I think the other teams in this division, obviously there's one that is pretty far ahead of the rest, but the remaining 2, I think they leveled up, man. And the Seahawks, although they had a solid draft, Byron Murphy could be
that pickup,
defensive rookie of the year candidate. And overall they just had a solid draft and made a lot of moves. It's the Geno thing, man. Yeah, teams know now how to play him. They know he can make reads. Might throw some disguise coverages in there to try and it's gonna be a little bit different for the Seahawks, I think, this season.
Yeah, and again, I'm not gonna crap on them, because it's not that they are a bad team.
Not at all.
When you see the Commanders at 4, they're not in that level of last, right? Where it's just okay, they're bad. Or the Panthers for us. But I was
about to say, once it's lined up, they are by far the best 4.
Yes.
By far.
If you would ask me between the Vikings, Commanders, Panthers, Seahawks, who's the most likely to make the playoffs, I'm saying Seattle.
Without a doubt.
That is what made this difficult. And the big one, too, that people kind of neglect is this is the first time we're seeing them without Pete Carroll. And that could be a good thing.
Yeah.
That isn't inherently bad, but it's a reality.
It is. It's a whole different ball game now for them.
When we talk about your boys, it's going to be weird. We're evaluating a team that doesn't have Bill Belichick at the helm. It's the same type of thing in Seattle, what Pete has meant.
Yep.
I don't anticipate a terrible year, but I don't know. I'm not very high on Seattle.
Yeah, I agree.
And it only gets harder from here. We honestly should have started with the 1, because that one is just clear as day.
Yeah.
Well, since I did 4, Mo, let me know your 3rd.
Sorry about that. A quick technical difficulty. But as I was saying, it was tough to put the Seahawks at 4. I'm now pretty comfortable with the rest of my list. At 3, I have the Arizona Cardinals. With the return of Kyler Murray. Obviously, we saw him for a little bit last season. Am I tripping? No, he came back. He came back. And when it was way far too late for the Cardinals to do anything. But they got the best receiver in the draft in Marvin Harrison Jr. That tandem is going to be insane. They got Zay Jones coming over to add to that receiving core. This team is it's really exciting. I know their defense was in a very tough position last year, but lots of signings on that end of the ball as well. I think the Cardinals are coming back with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder with the people saying they're going to be kind of bad again. I think they're going to be close to 500, if not 500.
I think so too.
I don't know if they make the playoffs. They could maybe sneak into a wild card spot, but that's what I got.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget how good Kyler Murray is. And so
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him to remind people of the caliber of quarterback that he is when he's healthy. And he
Yep.
has a real offense for the first time, really, since he had D Hop. Like,
Yeah.
he's got Marvin Harrison. You still have James Conner, who isn't healthy all the time, but then you draft Trey Benson to help
Yep.
solidify that run game. I think
Yep.
Trey McBride is due for a Pro Bowl year.
Yeah.
To solidify himself as a top 3 to 5 tight end in the league.
Uh-huh.
This defense is a little shaky, but I do trust their secondary. I
Yeah.
think their secondary will be really solid. So we'll see. This was a team I was really high on and that initially I had at 2. But I went back, thought it through a little bit, placed them at 3, and put this team, who we can tee up next, the
That's
Los Angeles Rams at 2 in the NFC
ding,
West.
ding, ding, ding for me.
Yeah. It's going to be weird. No Aaron Donald. And
Wow.
what a career. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, but certainly one of the greatest NFL defensive players of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer. Just,
I feel like it was so quick, but he just showed every single season he was by far the best defensive tackle in football. Like,
yeah,
it was the strongest, getting double, triple teamed, like
triple teamed. Like,
stupid.
dude,
It's actually stupid. So,
and it's crazy because it wasn't just like one rep. It was there are times we're gonna send right guard, center, left guard, or we're gonna move the tackle over, or we're gonna have the running back come and chip, and that, like, every single play they want to get active with him. And they don't have that, but what they do have, and what is going to be interesting, while their defense is not great, it's not terrible, but while it's not great, they're really going to rely on that offense. And lucky for them, that offense is one you can rely on.
Yeah. And they showed that last year.
They did. Stafford, to me, continues to be a fringe top 5 quarterback in football. He is incredible, does not get the respect he deserves, has had an
100%.
amazing career, and had a great year last year, obviously leading this team to the playoffs. If Cooper Kupp is healthy, if Kyron Williams can stay healthy, you have those two. Puka Nacua, one of the best wide receiver rookie years ever.
Record season.
Yeah, just amazing. You get a bowling ball and Blake Corum to that running back crew. I mean, listen, I get they are going to have to lean more on that offense. Luckily for them, they have the pieces to do that week in, week out and be consistent. So I like this Rams team. I trust them in the NFC West.
For sure. And obviously the Aaron Donald one's huge, but
Yeah.
Tre'Davious White on D and Jared Verse out of Florida State, their first round pick, I'm a big fan of. Should be a solid D, but the offense is going to need to carry the load for sure.
It is. And again, that doesn't mean the Rams will have the worst defense in football, but it's just different now. You don't have Aaron Donald where it's this, like, every week when a team is prepping for the Rams, they're like, okay, we're going to have to deal with him.
Yep.
He's going.
We got to get to the outside.
Yes.
The middle is plugged.
Halfback stretch every time because we cannot run it up the gut. It doesn't matter who our offensive line is. We can't do it. So, and with that, we'll end this little NFC tier list with a simple one.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, it's
bang, bang. Sorry.
It's best team in the NFC.
Yeah. I would say so.
To me, they are.
I would say so.
I mean, what can we say? I guess the alarm is Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, that is the scary point right now.
Requested a trade. Whether that happens, we'll see. if he's gone, concerns me a little bit because
Yeah.
I love Debo, but Debo is so great as more of a gadget guy than a true number one receiver with his elite route running or whatever it is. Still a very good route runner. Don't get it confused, but that isn't his number one. It's,
Not his
hey, give me the
forte.
ball. Yes, it's
Yeah.
give me the ball. They're not going to catch me.
Yep, I'm
I'm
gone.
so
Jet sweep?
shifty.
All right, bet.
Yep, got it. That is what makes him so good in that offense where you can be that more traditional route running number one receiver.
Yeah.
But that's it. I like the rest of the way. I don't feel concerned about this team.
Obviously nothing compared to Brandon Ayuk, but Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, solid wideout for them. Made some
Spent a
moves in the
first rounder on
offseason. Yeah, which is with Keon Coleman still on the board. A little interesting. But you know, they saw something in the scouting that they liked and they went with them. And okay, that's okay. That's just
there's
okay.
there's a joke, but I'll let that one sit. I'll let that
I
one
didn't
sit.
even all right.
Yep. But yeah, no, they'll be great.
This should be a fun season for the Niners again. I
Should be
expect
fun.
them to be right back into contention per usual, as at least the last few seasons.
Yep.
See if they can get over the hump.
They won't, but yeah, they certainly will be the best team in the NFC.
Yep.
Yeah, it disgusts me as a Packers fan to talk about the Niners, but I mean, yeah, they're the best team in the West. They're probably the best in the NFC.
Yeah.
The NFC runs through them until we see otherwise. So,
yep,
there it is. Kept it short and sweet. That is the NFC vid. Let us know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there some teams you'd move around? Are you really bold on the Saints? Are the Cardinals? Do you think the Bears can surprise some people? Do you think the Falcons are overrated? Whatever it is, let us know. We will have an AFC version of this set up for you guys on Monday that you can check out. So we'll have that. And yeah, it was a fun video. I'm excited for the season.
Man. For sure. Hopefully our picks cash. Only a couple differences, which is pretty solid, but only time will tell.
Absolutely. And with that being said, song of the pod before we leave.
Yep.
Mo, let me know what you got.
If I ain't one of them greats, and tell me who it is. I got From a Man by Young Thug. It's been on repeat for me.
Yeah.
Clearly. Yeah, that's what I've been rocking. I love the beat. He gets kind of floaty on there a little bit.
It's what he does.
It's what he does. A little ad, little something, a little Young Thug way. So if you haven't heard it, check it out.
As for me, I don't know if I can say this last word on YouTube, but it's off of JPEG Mafia's new album. It's either on or off the D word, DR word. I don't think we could say that, but it just came out. The sample on it is so dope. So yeah, that's what I've got. But yeah, that's the vid. Let us know your thoughts. Can't wait to see you in the next video for the AFC and the awards. So tune in for those.
Yeah.
We were pretty accurate on the awards last year, so we'll hopefully spin it back this year. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see y'all in the next video.
Later, everyone. See you soon.
Peace.